I guess.
All right, we're coming back at you. Welcome to OPP with Kathy and me, and we're here to talk about Oconee people and perspectives. There's a lot going on, really.
A lot.
Wow, big day in Walhalla yesterday.
Yes,
How do you feel about that?
I like it. Women won. Yeah,
Women won Walhalla.
that's right.
Walhalla for women.
Yep. Women on council. That's awesome. Yep.
But how are the women on council? What do they bring to the table to fix the problem?
Open minds. I think it's progress. It's 2025, you know, and for the longest time in Oconee, I think it's been all men on, you know, mostly everything. You know, we had Soraya, and she's done a great job, and I think this is progress. I think this is good. I think this is good news.
Okay. Did you research any of the candidates and see where they came from? What their ideas were, or?
You know, to be honest, I mostly, I went and saw, I did not get to go this time, but previously, Lynn was a candidate.
Okay.
And I saw her speak at what is now the middle school. I actually went to high school there. That's how old I am. And I heard her speak. And I know she's a business owner, so I saw her the previous time. So yeah, I'm familiar with her and her ideas.
All right.
So yeah, she's a business owner. So she actually has, you know, she has something invested in this. So yeah.
Okay. So what about the other candidates? Said a 19-year-old kid. Is he? What does he need to do to be electable in November?
I would say, you know, I just honestly think you got to be older. I mean, that's
discrimination, Kathy.
it might be, but that's, you know, at my age,
Is-
that's just
but
what,
it-
that's what I think.
but-
That's what I think. I think you just have to have more experience in life.
Okay, so
Because
he probably still lives at home. He's not had a job in the public. He
maybe.
just
I mean,
got
I
out
don't
of
know
high
that.
school.
But
all the things that the citizens are looking for in a representative at the city level, he's just not matured into yet.
I think in order to help make decisions for people that you would be making on a council, that you have to have experienced those things.
Okay.
Because when you're talking about running or making decisions for a municipality, you're talking about city taxes, you're talking about city utilities. If you don't participate in those things, then you really can't understand those things. And maybe that's discrimination, but I think you have to have kind of some skin in the game there, you know?
Skin in the game. Yep.
Does that sound bad or weird? I mean,
No, I think that, you know, it was admirable of the young man to come out and run for public office.
well, it shows that you love your town,
Right.
or your city, that you know.
But like you said, there's a significant barrier there, and it comes with maturity and experience.
Keep trying.
So-
I mean, you know, it is honorable to love your community. It is. It
Yeah.
is. Absolutely. And I mean, but we've lived in our home for 19 years. And like,
I mean, he might be 25, but he just graduated a couple years ago, this last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. It's just an experience thing, and my message to him is just keep trying. You
yeah,
know, maybe
keep working, keep trying.
back off for a little bit and to get that experience, do the volunteer work, do the hard jobs.
Keep talking to
And-
people.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
but come back and
Keep
keep
at it.
trying. So.
Keep at it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with loving your community and serving
Yeah.
your community. That's where it's at. You know, my husband's family has been in Walhalla for generations. That's his town. That's his town. That's our town. That's where we've raised our family, you know, and where we choose to raise our family. That's where our home is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well,
So I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm hoping. There's the big fight over annexation.
I'm glad you brought that up, 'cause that's where I wanted to go next.
No, but go there. Go there.
Well, I wanted to know how you feel. You live in the city.
I live in the city.
I live in the county.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I don't live close enough to the city that I've got to worry about annexation. But a lot of people do. And as a city person, do you feel annexation is necessary for the city? Or do you feel that the city can fix its financial problems on your back, not looking to get it from someone else?
I look at annexation as a good thing, and here's why. I look at it as, because what it brings to the table is, and the way that I'm understanding it is, we would be taking in some property. One of the things that it means is that we would be taking in that dirt patch over in West Union that is essentially has been an eyesore, but we would get an Aldi potentially and an urgent care out of it. Now that not only is going to give us another place to shop that's affordable, because Aldi is much cheaper than Ingles.
Tractor Supply's coming to West Union, right?
I'm not sure.
I thought that
Possibly.
was what I had heard.
But that gives another option, because I don't know if you've tried to go to Ingles like when everybody's getting off work, but also they're really expensive, and the economy stinks right now. So anyway, I think that's good for us, not to mention the fact that that is tax revenue for our city.
But Walhalla City missed out on tax revenue from the Dollar General because they didn't want it in the city. And it moved like 8.5 feet outside the city limits, and they don't have to pay city taxes. The city really missed out.
Is it out of city limit?
It was. That's the whole reason they're there.
Is it out of city limit though?
Mm-hmm.
I
It
wasn't
pretty
aware
much
that
stops at the pool.
Well,
I mean, I might be wrong, but that's what I understood.
I mean,
So,
I have my own theory about
But then-
Dollar Generals. I don't think we need any more. You can't get, they're kind of like stink bugs. You can't go 10 feet
but
without
hey,
one.
we got that brand new Dollar General Market down Route 11 going south of West Union. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not.
Well, if you go down that way, if you can handle the roads, because they're terrible, there's a brand new DG Market, and that's supposed to be more along the lines of neighborhood market for like Walmart.
Oh, cool.
And they're a little bit bigger and they're a little bit more grocery centered, fresher look for Dollar General. They're really nice. But so
Maybe
your
I'll
point,
check that out.
your idea with annexation is it's good for the city and it's good for you.
Right.
Now, if you lived in the county, how would you feel about that annexation? I think that annexation is inevitable. I don't know why that Oconee County has been left behind when it comes to modern annexation of the municipalities. Like every other city in the entire world, when it begins to grow, it grows.
Yeah.
But here it's like they haven't had any growth in the municipality since the 80s, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, it
if
was
you look at
dead.
If you look at Seneca, there's the bypass, and just about everything out on the bypass is in the county, and the city's missing that revenue.
Yeah.
But you've got so many people that live around there that want services, city-based services, that they're not getting tax revenue for, that Walmart and Tractor Supply and the hospital and all of these places would be revenue centers for the city to give the people the services that they think they're supposed to get.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is it's just, if we're growing, and when you have more people coming, they need things. Like the urgent care. You don't want everyone to have to go to,
Sorry, we're new at this.
Not professionals. You don't want everyone to have to run to Clemson to go to the doctor. If you get the flu, if your kid gets an ear infection, why are you going to have to drive to Seneca? Why are you going to have to drive to Clemson to see a doctor? It's much easier to go 5 minutes over to West Union and see somebody. I mean, everybody has to understand that. And a lot of times if you have something, stomach flu, something like that, you have to have a note to take your kid back to school. You can't always get in with your pediatrician. A lot of times they're full, and you've got a limited number of days to get back into school. I mean, this is a no-brainer, folks, especially if you live in Mountain Rest. You don't want to go to Clemson. I mean, we need things like this. And as we get more and more neighborhoods, I mean, this is a must-have.
Well, we're really seeing all over the county that the county's growing faster than services are being provided.
Right.
Last summer and last fall, Shiloh-Corinth Fire Department wanted to have their own tax district so that they could provide professional services that the people in their district require, and it was like the county council was dead against it for the whole time. In August, these people got bills to pay because on the backs of volunteers with a $60,000 a year budget, they're trying to run all these calls and make all these services, but now we have two special tax districts in the county for fire and rescue. How many special tax districts do we need before we have to take a hard look and say, you know what, maybe we should adjust the millage in our county to provide adequate services to our residents?
Oh, crazy talk.
But here, last week in the paper, we hear that at a planning budget meeting that they're looking at taking money from the schools to fix the roads. I mean, do we really care that little about public schools in Oconee County?
Well, I mean, and let's go ahead and talk about the schools. I mean, and I've said this over and over again. I've got 2 sons that are autistic. You have a daughter who has special needs. I mean, so automatically, that is kind of what draws us together as friends, and draws us to other people as friends, and is oftentimes topic of discussion. There are no services. We've got over 80,000 people in the county, and pardon me for saying so, but it sucks. I mean, I drive to Central 5 days a week for services, and if you, and this is not a politics thing, this is not partisan, and I'll make a video on my own sometime about what I think about RFK and this administration or whatever, but the numbers don't lie. 1 in 31 children are autistic. So we're gonna have to catch up with that in our county and accommodate autistic people. I mean, we have no ABA therapy center in our county.
But we have a lot of homeless people in our county. We have a lot of mental health conditions in our county that seemingly go unnoticed.
Or get made fun of. By the administration,
My experience with the fire and rescue, some of the places I go, some of the people that we treat that help out, it's heartbreaking to see that in 2025 in America that these folks are in these situations.
Well, yeah, but we'll give $50,000 or $100,000 to the animal shelter, and it's not that I don't love animals, but people.
Right.
People. We don't have a homeless shelter, y'all. We don't have a homeless shelter.
Real live people living outside.
Human beings.
And we don't have a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
A county-ran homeless shelter.
We don't.
We don't have, but we'll spay and neuter and release your cats.
But they're full too, and we'll tell you to release an animal.
Well, then they took this lady 98 misdemeanors and felonies over having a farm just outside of Walhalla, and charging her with all this stuff. But then the county looks at the animals down there at the shelter, and she posted they were all healthy.
Yeah.
and everything's fine.
They didn't put any of them down.
So, but now I'm on the hook as a county taxpayer to pay to feed, a flock of sheep and a gaggle of geese and some turkeys and the flying squirrel, and like give that woman her daggone animals back.
And
If
she's
ain't
a
nothing
doctor.
wrong
I
with
think
them.
she can pay for it, right?
But take that money that we're eagerly going to give to the Humane Society to take care of that, and put it into outdoor living people.
Right.
I got a real beef with the animal shelter and animal control anyhow, on account of these 3 dogs got dropped off in my neighborhood. Every neighbor in the neighborhood called the animal shelter, and they're like, we can't take them. Well, I put them in my truck and I drove them down there, and they're like, you got to take them back and turn them loose, and we'll come get them when we can. And that was on Friday, and on Monday they picked them up. You telling me you couldn't have accommodated them 2 days earlier?
Yeah.
Come on now. But we got that, but we got nothing for homeless people.
Yeah.
And you got the Tribble Center, which for the special folks. And as my daughter gets older, and comes to live here more on a full-time basis, it's nice to know that the Tribble Center is there. But with cuts to Medicaid, and if they're all Medicaid funded, how
They're
long are they?
completely Medicaid funded.
How long is the Tribble Center going to last?
They
And then
won't.
what happens to the folks that live there and go there?
And-
It's going to just exacerbate our local mental health problems.
Well, yeah, and they are completely 100% funded by Medicaid. So they're debating, or it's my understanding, that is on the Senate floor yesterday, today, this week.
Are you talking about state senate?
State
or
Senate,
federal?
state
Okay.
Senate, because federal already voted to cut Medicaid. They did. All Republicans
Right.
voted to cut Medicaid. They did that, but they love folks. They love children. But our state Senate is deciding whether or not to fully fund Medicaid this week.
But now, if the federal government said we're not doing the Medicaid thing, and then the state senate says we fully fund Medicaid, that just means that our state taxes are going to go up.
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
And now,
They're going to have to come up with it
but
somewhere.
but the federal taxes probably ain't going to come down. So now we're paying more again. But are we going to get
Are we right yet?
what we deserve? And on the local level, we've really got to think about each other and community. There's a lot of money that gets pushed outside of our community. It's pushed outside of the state. It's pushed outside of the United States. And it's okay to scrutinize that. I really think that we should, and make sure that the money's spent in the right place. But do we have the right people looking at putting it in the right place? You can't have somebody that doesn't have a heart and doesn't have compassion looking at Medicaid and looking at benefits for veterans and things and those things. Social Security. Those are Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare are the America's most vulnerable people, and that's where we always see our politicians wanting to make cuts.
It's generally people
But
that
why?
didn't even serve.
But why? Why do you want to take away from the old people and the children and the service members when you could just stop giving all that money to look at going to Mars? I'm not going to Mars. I'm not
No.
Katy Perry. I'm not going to the atmosphere.
No.
I'm just afraid of heights. I don't even like getting on my roof. So knock that shit off.
Yeah.
But use that for the vulnerable people. And let's be a compassionate county, a compassionate nation, a compassionate state.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, space exploration. I mean, I think it could take a back seat.
I don't even give a shit what's above that tree. Like, I don't. Not a bit. But I do care about what's right here, The homeless dude that lives in this park, he ain't got no business living here.
No.
If we could send a man to the moon, put him in a hospital, put him in a hotel. We could do that.
Good. There's a lot of things that could be done. There's a lot of things that could be better, and people could make them better, and they choose not to. They make conscious decisions not to.
Right. But,
Every day.
But so we're just talking about the state senate. yesterday, the state Senate voted 33 or 38 to 5.
Right.
I don't know the numbers, but anyways, it was a whole lot to a little to impeach Curtis Loftus, the state treasurer.
Right. Yeah.
Why? Why was there 5 people that said no?
Well, because they thought it was okay that
But-
$1.8 billion is missing.
I've
With
got-
a B.
I've got 108 billion questions about that. Like, where's it at? Why is the road in front of my house impassable by a school bus? But
Yeah.
we just lost $1.8 billion. How about losing on that gravel road in front of my house, or the main road, Chattooga Ridge, or maybe Whetstone or 11? Have you been down Route 11 lately? That's like, it's awful.
$1.8 billion. Every child in the state can have a free college education. There's no reason that every kid couldn't have free lunch, eat through the summer. Remember how they didn't want to pay for the poor kids to eat during the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Like churches and charitable organizations had to fund that because they said, no, we don't want that. And then, I mean, there's no reason that any child should go without health care, any pregnancy should go without health care. $1.8 billion. Nobody should be homeless. Nobody
Well-
should be hurting. I mean, unthinkable.
So I'm going to argue with you a little bit about everybody getting an education. I think that giving everybody a free education is kind of like giving everybody $1 million.
Yeah.
If everybody has $1 million, it's not worth $1 million anymore. If
Yeah, but-
everybody has the same thing,
Well,
then there's
Hear
no.
me out. A free education with what they want their education to be. If a kid wants to be a truck driver, let them go to truck driver training school. You know, if they want to become a doctor, let them become a doctor. You know, it depends on what the education is. And they don't have to take it.
Well, no, I absolutely agree that we should be trained into something that we want to do.
They should have the opportunity.
Like you know, and being prior service, I retired from the Navy. There's the biggest thing they told me when I was joining the military was find a job in the military that give you the training, so when you got out, you could get a job
Yeah.
and you'd have experience. Well, you know, there's jobs there that, you know, infantry and cryptology and, you know, a lot of things that are really cool, really high-speed jobs that
Yeah.
nobody's going to pay you for out here unless it's the government. And then, so with that free education or making sure everybody has an education, I think it's important that there's someone that says, look, you're very good at welding. I highly suggest you go to trade school and learn to weld.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You ain't really good at a lot, so maybe you should, you know, I don't know what you should do. I mean, there's going to be that, you know, but you know, there's truck drivers and mailmen and
Well, and
Hey.
there should be better programs. We could get better at helping people find what they're good at.
right.
Because there are states that do better at that than what we do. And we should look at them and say, hey, how do you do that? But we won't do that. I mean, like, we're kind of arrogant that way. I mean, and I hate to say it, but that's kind of a Southern thing to be like, we don't need your help. We know what we're doing, you know? Because,
Yeah, we need your help. We
Yeah.
really do.
yeah, I mean, because like with the education, and I talked to, you know, and I've said this before over and over again, like with my boys, you know, there are states that are killing it, like as far as public education and with like educating non-speakers. And I'm like, why is it that South Carolina is not going to like, say, New Jersey or Massachusetts and saying, hey, what kind of programs are you using with your kids in your school systems? Can we see that? Can we come train? Can we do this? Why are they not doing that? Because it's like this arrogance of, we know, we've got this, you know, we know what we're, you know. You don't, because if you haven't graduated a non-speaker in 30 years, you don't know what you're doing.
I know you're real passionate about
Yeah.
that,
So,
but I just wonder if that thing's still recording.
I don't know.
But-
If it isn't, we're really screwed.
Anyways, it's been good. We're gonna cut this video off. Thank you guys for listening
if you
to the whole
listen, then
thing,
thanks a lot.
and tell your friends about us. We're gonna do
This
this
is
a lot.
what we do.
So, thanks and goodbye.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Sounds like one of our phone conversations or our text.